No rain, but we've got the brollies just in case,
Just in
haven't we,
case.
Alan?
We do trust Debbie though, don't we?
We do.
However, whatever the weather, it's not going to bother us. We're here to enjoy ourselves. We're sure you will too over the next hour as we celebrate Hull's 700th birthday. Welcome you to this special hour-long programme from Calendar and Tonight as we celebrate Hull's big birthday.
Yes, the city turned out in style to celebrate 700 glorious years.
Queen of all she surveys, Her Majesty joined in with the party and also, of course, met the people.
It's a special day.
We're very honoured, aren't we?
Yeah.
Really worth waiting for.
Amazed. Just amazed that she would come to Hull. It's brilliant.
And still to come, we shall be talking to some of the people that are stars of stage and screen and that they've come from Hull.
But first, taking a rare night off from his starring role in Whistle Down the Wind by Andrew Lloyd Webber, his Hull-born chap and songster, Dean Collinson.
Right on cue.
Changes are the names, the days, the places. Above all else, learn to be yourself. Be excellent to each other, and you'll discover who you are. With all the love in our hearts, we can make a brand new start. Bring the world together. We can change it for the better. Let your hearts and your souls beat in time with rock and roll. Just be excellent to each other. Maybe one day you'll discover who you are. Tick tock, the hands of time won't stop. The earth will keep revolving, the human race evolving. And when you are gone, the world will carry on. So be excellent to each other, and you'll discover who you are. With all the love in our hearts, we can make a brand new start. We can bring the world together. We can change it for the better. Let your hearts and your souls beat in time with rock and roll. Just be excellent to each other. Maybe one day
Dean Collinson, doesn't he make a marvellous noise? Now, today's celebrations have, of course, been given the royal seal of approval. Her Majesty the Queen and Prince Philip have been here. They've been meeting the people, as I said earlier. One lady who's already met them, and you've dined with them, haven't you, is Anne Wilson.
Yes, I have. I dined with them this afternoon.
Did you get sitting next to them, did you?
No, unfortunately not, but I was in on a very nice table.
This is at the Guildhall. It's posh in the Guildhall, isn't it?
It's very posh in the Guildhall, yes. Yes, it was very nice.
And did you manage to speak to...
I spoke to His Royal Highness Duke of Edinburgh. I shook hands with him and it was an
great
honour.
day for Hull.
Very good for Hull.
And for you.
Yes, very good,
right,
yes.
OK, well, thanks very much, Anne.
Yeah.
Our own Fiona Dwyer actually saw the royal couple a little earlier in the day.
The Queen and Prince Philip arrived by royal train and were treated to the sound of 100 school children singing a song written specially for this momentous occasion.
It was really nice and it was an honour to be able to sing with her.
She stopped to listen to us and she was smiling. She looks like a princess.
Then it was on to the royal couple's first engagement at King George Dock, where they inaugurated the new lock gates. And after a cruise up the River Humber, there was a warm welcome at the horse wash. Next, Her Majesty and the Duke of Edinburgh went on to Holy Trinity Church for a special service to commemorate the 700th anniversary of the granting of the Royal Charter to the city by Edward I.
I think it's very exciting for Hull. Yes, it's really marking the occasion by having her here.
I've seen her before, yes, and yes, it was really worth waiting for.
And afterwards, although it rained, it didn't dampen anyone's spirits, as the Queen and Prince Philip continued their tour of Hull.
Well, isn't it a wonderful evening? The sun is shining for this special calendar and tonight programme celebrating 700 years for Hull. I'm joined now by two students. I have Rachel and Katie. Just tell me a little bit what you know about the history of Hull.
Well, Hull's got a very important part in the history, especially with the Civil War, because though many people think that the Civil War actually started in Nottingham in August 1642, it was in April that year that Hull actually refused entry to the King into the city, which sort of triggered the deterioration of the power of the King.
So tremendous history, and also I understand it's the most blitzed city in World War II, is this right?
Yeah, yes it is. During the war, much of East Hull was bombed and it was severely damaged.
Wonderful history. The concert's in full swing here, but let's just take time out now and have a little history lesson from Ian Clayton.
I'm standing quite close to where the River Hull runs into the mighty Humber, a natural place to build a port town. And that's exactly what happened here in Hull 700 years ago. I'm going to take you on a walk through some of the pages of Hull's history. Come with me. Hull became King's Town upon Hull in the year 1299, but it had a market charter 25 years before that. And as you can see, it's still trading today. This is Andrew Marvell, a native of this city, MP and poet, famous for his ode to a coy mistress. The grave's a fine and private place, but none, I think, do there embrace. And certainly nobody ever embraced beneath this stone. It's not the most imposing of memorials, but it is the final resting place of one of Britain's biggest ever music hall stars, Arthur Lucan, better known as Old Mother Riley, who even once appeared with my favourite horror film actor Bela Lugosi in that classic of British cinema, Mother Riley Meets the Vampire. Arthur Lucan died in the wings of the old Tivoli Theatre, which is now Skelton's Bakery here in Hull. But I'm getting a bit in front of myself. This hole in the road might look just like a pile of uninspiring bricks, but it does mark the site of one of Hull's most historic events, because it was here on April the 23rd, 1642, that King Charles rode up to what was then the Beverley Gate and was told by the city fathers that he couldn't come in, and thus started the English Civil War. This is the Hull Grammar School, where they sing a song about the years ebbing and flowing on Humber's swelling tide. And it has a rousing Latin chorus that goes, Floriet, Floriet, Floriet nostra schola. This is the very beautiful Holy Trinity Church, consecrated in the 15th century. It's one of the gems of Hull city centre. And this font is the very font in which William Wilberforce, renowned anti-slavery campaigner of the 18th century, was christened. Hull's prosperity continued well into the new century. This beautiful double-decker tram was built here in 1909 and was working until the 1940s, when it was sent to Leeds, where it did service until 1951. Hold tight, please. Amy Johnson was an old lass. She was born here in 1903 in St George's Road. And do you know, I've got something in common with Amy Johnson, because in 1930 my granny was voted the girl who most looks like Amy Johnson, and I've got the photo to prove it. There are statistics to prove that Hull was the most bombed city in Britain during the Second World War. They say that over 92% of the houses suffered some kind of bomb damage. And you can walk down any street in Hull, even today, and see the remains of that. In fact, when local mothers tell the kids to go out to play, they say, go and lake up bomb buildings. Now this is number 33 Farringdon Street. What significance does that address have in the history of Hull? Well, for 3 years in the early 1970s, I lived here. They haven't put a blue plaque up yet, I've noticed, but that's another story, isn't it?
Well, that was Ian Clayton. I'm now delighted and honoured to be joined by Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Archbishop, you've just been awarded the medal by Her Majesty, the Wilberforce Medal, and we'll see if we can see that. There aren't many of those around, but then again, there aren't many Archbishop Desmond Tutus around either.
It's great to have had this opportunity and this very extraordinary privilege at this precise moment in the history of this city and in the history of South Africa.
Do you feel that what happened here all those years ago with Wilberforce has had any bearing at all on what's happened in South Africa with the end of apartheid?
I believe that people build up a tradition, and here you started a tradition in your commitment to opposing injustice and oppression. It was then in the form of slavery, and then another kind of oppression and injustice came in the form of apartheid. And this city gave me its freedom at a time when it was not popular to do so.
Hey, that was 10 years ago. Now, At that time, did you think that, you know, within a generation, apartheid would be abolished? That in fact you'd be heading now for your second election since that abolition?
No, I knew in my heart that apartheid one day would end, that democracy and freedom and justice would come to our land. But I have to tell you that when apartheid ended, it was quite mind-boggling, the speed at which it happened, and the way we bamboozled the world in a way, because the world was expecting our country to go up in flames, which it didn't. But largely because we were being prayed for by so many people, supported by so many people, that even despite ourselves, we had to come good.
So, as you are now, you're in Hull, the Wilberforce Medal is yours, you've met the Queen today, not for the first time, I know. Do you feel that your life's work is coming not to an end, obviously, but is, because that would be disrespectful. You've got a lot of years left in you yet, but is now coming to fruition?
It's got to come to an end sometime, but I have to tell you, I feel fulfilled. People have been wonderful, and I look forward to this new millennium with great hope that the world is going to be a different kind of world. People are good fundamentally. People are compassionate fundamentally. And even when there is a great deal of evil, which there is, that isn't the last word.
Archbishop, thank you very much indeed. It has been a great honour to talk to you, sir.
God bless you.
What a wonderful man, and what a privilege for us to have him on the show. Well, don't go away, because still to come we meet the couple who entertained the Queen for tea. We meet one of Hull's famous sons, and entertaining the crowds in the sunshine here in Hull are the voice of Gospel Choir.
It is to you I give the glory. It is to you I give the praise, because you have done so much for me. I will magnify your name. It is to you, Holy Father. No one else will do, and I will praise your name. Praise your name, and I will praise your name forevermore. It is to you I give the glory. It is to you I give the praise, because you have done so much for me. I will magnify your name. It is to you.
Welcome back, and welcome to this 1 hour calendar and tonight special celebrating 700 years of Hull. Well, the city may be steeped in history over the last 700 years, but the last 30 years have seen quite a change. I'm now joined by Mary and Nora, two lovely ladies from the city. Mary, if I can just ask you, what have you noticed of the changes over the years?
Well, everything, I think. Everything's wonderful to what it was.
Has it got a lot better?
A lot better. Much better.
Nora, what would you say is the best part of it all?
I don't really know. I think everything.
Everything,
really, yeah.
absolutely everything. The shops, I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Well, Tina Gelder is a young lass that was born and bred in the city. Let's take a look at her report on how the city has re-emerged over the last years.
Get it off now. Hold that cod down, is it tight?
Between them, these 5 men spent more than 140 years going to sea, working in an industry that built the city's image. Fishing was a way of life for many men in the west of Hull. Though it was perilous, thousands were lost to the sea, it brought prosperity to Hull and sustained a whole community.
There was money to be earned all the time. Fishermen never walked between pubs or anything, it was always a taxi. The pubs themselves, they knew very well that it was going to be good trade. The shops on Hessle Road, the clothing manufacturers on Hessle Road, all these things was there for us, and we had the money to buy these things.
And one area of Hull was synonymous with fishing.
Hessle Road, Hessle Road, Hessle Road, Hessle Road. I am proud of Hessle Road.
A close-knit community, the people would pull together in the hard times when their loved ones didn't come home, and in the good times they celebrated together. Rayner's pub was where most people headed.
In a way it was brilliant. It was brilliant because people looked after people, you know. You could walk up down Hessle Road and it was like all fair every day of the week.
But in the 70s, the cod wars with Iceland and the loss of Britain's traditional fishing grounds spelt the demise of the industry. With it, Hessle Road lost its identity and the community was split, as many residents were moved out to the newly built estates such as Bransholme. The City Council promoted them as the places to live. Houses had mod cons and gardens. There was to be a village-like atmosphere. But despite the years spent there, some have still not settled.
I moved off Hessle Road 13 years ago into a new house. If I could, I'd lift the house up and put it back on Hessle Road.
And others refused to go at all.
We all got moved elsewhere. All by me. I says, I was born on Hessle Road. I would have died.
But the 80s saw a new beginning for Hull. The Humber Bridge opened, the once thriving docks made way for thriving leisure and shopping developments, and the multi-million-pounds marina completed the facelift.
The people of Hull sometimes perhaps are slow in coming forward. Perhaps we need to champion our city, tell the world about it. Nothing to be ashamed of. This is a brilliant place.
And what of the future? Well, Hull now has the opportunity to realise its potential as a top 10 city in Britain.
There's £1 billion worth of investment coming in over the next 5 years. We see things like the Deep, the Ferronsway development, work on the E20 corridor. So I think all of a sudden we see a city that's quite vibrant.
The Hull 700 festivities celebrate the city's pioneering character. It's now hoped this spirit will propel Hull into the 21st century.
Who's that, soldier? March on, Parliament! Yeah, soldier! Take him away! Take him away!
Whoa, 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 whoa! This is about peace and harmony.
Peace and harmony,
and
sir.
Hang on, may I?
This was a divided city in 1643.
Well, just in case anyone who's just switched on wonders where we are, we're celebrating Hull's 700th birthday, along with, which society are you, sir?
English Civil War Society.
The English Civil War Society, and you've just been beating that poor chap up there because he supported the wrong side?
He called the Parliament out, sir. I'm a parliamentarian officer, and he called Parliament out.
Right, but he seems quite a nice bloke.
He declared himself a king who was a malignant, sir. He was malignantly advised.
Bring him in. Come here. They're calling him malignant.
Soldier, come here.
Come in and join us. Let's have your side of the argument. He says you're malignant.
Malignant, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right, so the fight will continue then?
Oh, yeah.
Right, well, just leave me out of it. Hang on there, because Hull is a very, very famous city. It's produced a lot of famous faces in its time, not just these two, not just the chap who's shouting behind me either. A lot of famous faces. You might remember them from stage and television and other places. Will Venters now reports. OK, put your swords down.
There's Roland Gift, of course. And this chap was once a city council gardener. Mick Ronson later became far more famous as one of David Bowie's spiders from Mars. There's Kingston High School's most famous old boy, John Alderton. Remember this?
That is a room for members of the staff, Mr. Hedges.
Staying with the old school ties, there's poet Philip Larkin and one of his proteges, the current poet laureate Andrew Motion.
It's happy hour again.
Busking in Hull back in 1986, the House Martins later, of course, spawned the beautiful South, and Norman Cook filled out to become Fatboy Slim. And who's this fresh-faced young chap with his wife back in 1970? Well, John Prescott MP went on to become Deputy Prime Minister.
Can't have any triumphalists, can we? Oh, sorry, yes we can.
And John here making music with another old Hull pal, playwright Alan Plater. The peer of the realm, Lord Rix, was once the uncrowned king of farce.
Who is that?
Mrs. Bennet, your wife.
What do you want?
I wish to speak to you.
You've always had a good loud voice.
Actor Ian Carmichael's most famous for his portrayal of upper-crust characters. Hull's Amy Johnson flew high back in 1930. The pioneer aviator made it to Australia all on her own. He never quite gets off the ground, but Norman Collier is the best-known chicken impersonator around.
I don't know.
Another Hullovian who's happier pretending to be someone else is Joe Longthorne. Hull Truck boasts Britain's most performed playwright, John Godber.
I went to train as a teacher, and I went on to Leeds University for 5 years.
I love you, Lawrence. That's the problem, isn't it?
She normally brings a tear to the eye laughing. She, of course, is Maureen Lipman.
Hello, right, bring it up again.
Tom Courtney sprang a few surprises in Billy Liar.
You and I are both past the first flush of youth, but there is some you could do.
And so too did Sheila Mercier in Emmerdale.
Amos, I'd like you to consider marrying.
Will Venters present us with that roll call of the good and the great of Hull. Well, I met one of its famous sons earlier today. He's the Deputy Prime Minister and Hull East MP, John Prescott. Mr. Prescott, it's been a wonderful day, hasn't it, for the city of Hull?
Oh yes, they've enjoyed it. They're proud of their city, Hull. I mean, people look at it and they are delighted to have their Queen in their midst, but it's got a great history, you know. It looks to the future, but celebrates its history. And I thought when I was sitting in the church there today, there was the monarch, the Queen sitting there, and in this church, the time of the Civil War, this was the place when another king came here, King Charles, and wanted to get in that church because that's where all the arms were stocked for his army. And Hull said, no, we're swearing for Parliament. So it was curious to see these kind of history today where the monarch comes not asking for guns, but for peace and for celebrate our 700 years.
It is. It's a real celebration, isn't it, today, with Desmond Tutu here. Really, the whole city seems to be enjoying the whole thing, don't they?
Again, history coming in. Wilberforce and slavery, looking in the past. Here we've got Desmond Tutu getting the Wilberforce Award from the Queen about human rights, about the struggle of people for their rights. And Hull's always been central to it, in its history as well as in its future. And so they brought those two things together. Wonderful experience, and I think everybody's enjoying it.
A wonderful day, and you yourself very proud indeed.
Yes, and not even finished yet.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was lost in the music there. Lots more coming up, and we're going to actually be having a look at the royal couple's walkabout. But as they delighted royal watchers in the city with that walkabout, they were entertained by some of these youngsters who were rappers. Go on, do me a rap. Go on, go on.
We asked the Queen to come to us. We knew she'd love it, it's never done. We wrote this rap for her and Phil. We're very good, it fits the bill.
That's excellent. Chris Kidd is very good as well. Here's his report.
A queen's eye view of the crowds lining the city's streets today. The weather was undecided, but with or without her brolly, Her Majesty was determined to chat to as many royal watchers as possible. An eye-catching outfit helped, of course. So too did a banner announcing how old you were today. What was she like?
She was posh.
Posh indeed. Few other visitors could bring so many people out on the streets just to watch. The Duke sprang one surprise, eavesdropping on a startled radio reporter. And yes, wearing that pearly outfit paid dividends in the end. A good day to be a Hullovian, as they say?
Definitely. Always a good day to be a Hullovian.
In the newly refurbished covered market, the Queen came to browse, but sadly not to buy. But the stallholders didn't seem to mind the lack of royal cash.
She looked lovely, she really was. We were very honoured, aren't we? Yeah. To have her come in here. Prince came over and picked the largest potato up and said, how on earth can you get round this? So I said, well, I'm sure you could.
The offer of a slice of a large Italian cake was politely declined. Her Majesty was introduced to Nora Finlayson, celebrating her 100th birthday today. A presentation of a more formal kind a little later in the Guildhall, Archbishop Desmond Tutu receiving the Wilberforce Medal in recognition of his achievements in opposing apartheid.
Chris Kiddie there. Well, don't go away because we've still got music to come from Labi Sifri. I meet the couple who entertained the Queen. But now it's time to take a look at your news from your part of the Calendar region. Well, welcome back to Hull, to a real birthday party. It's a real celebration, isn't it, Alan?
You know, I feel very underdressed now. Our friend here has joined us, and we have some very nice addressed youngsters at the front
very
here.
Smart indeed.
Very smart.
You feel underdressed. How do you think I feel?
We're going to listen to Labi Sifri now, aren't we?
He's one of my favourites.
You've got CDs of his. I can only afford audio tapes. Labi Sifri.
Yeah, so it's something inside so strong.
The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become. The further you take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can deny me, you can decide to turn your face away. No matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong.
You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. There's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. The more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing. You hide behind walls of Jericho, your lies will come tumbling. Deny my place in time, you squander wealth that's mine. My light will shine so brightly it will blind you, because there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, so you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. There's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. Brothers and sisters, when they insist we're just not good enough, well, we know better. Just look them in the eyes and say, we're gonna do it anyway. Gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. You better get out of my way, 'cause there's something inside so strong. There's something inside so strong. Well, I know that I can make it. Girl, you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. There's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong.
Oh, Labby Sifri there with something inside so strong. Well, Hull has been a big influence on the music scene, as we've seen there with Labby, but we've now been joined by Dave Rotheray from beautiful South. It's a pleasure to have you on the programme. Now, you're a Hull lad, aren't you?
I am, yeah, born and bred.
What do you think has been so special about today?
Well, I'm not much of one for birthdays, maybe because I'm getting a bit older myself.
I know the feeling.
But I've always thought of Hull as somewhere very special, you know, no matter how much I've travelled around the world. Hull has always been a fantastic place to come back to.
Because you are an international artist.
In fact, to be honest, I'd rather not promote Hull too much, because I don't want too many people to come here and spoil it.
It's too special, isn't
you know,
it?
like
We don't want everybody coming in.
Like Benidorm or something.
Well, it's been a super day today. As we said, you are really an international artist now, all over the world, and you've got a new single coming out.
We have, yeah.
And we've got a bit of an exclusive here. You can tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, it's a new song of ours called The Table, which we've re-recorded with a gospel choir.
So very apt then today.
Yeah, and it goes a little bit like this.
A little bit like this. The man cued it.
Table has fostered legs, a heart of very near wild oak. When others would have screamed, I allow my friend, this one never even spoke. I've been sat upon, ooh, I've been spat upon, ooh, I've been treated like a bed, been carried like a stretcher when someone thinks they're dead. I've been dined upon, ooh, I've been wined upon, ooh, I've been taken for a fool, taken for a dance when they should have been at school.
Wonderful song. And when are we likely to see that hitting the record shelves?
Well, it depends, you know, whether how much everybody likes it, you know.
Well, we all liked it, so hopefully in the not too distant
yeah, it's
future.
out in about 4 weeks.
What are your fondest memories of Hull?
Well, I could get nostalgic here. When I was a kid, I remember the smell of the fish, you know, when the trawlers came in. And Old Hessel Road, which is gone now, of course.
Yes.
But these days we've got a lot of new stuff. We've got like the lovely town centre, got that fantastic bridge, you know, when you drive in at night and the lights on the bridge.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Lots of lovely stuff.
I know you want to keep it hid under a bushel, but it really is a super city. Thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts of it today.
Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed, Dave.
No, we keep saying it, but there is undoubtedly a carnival atmosphere here in Hull. And you know, that takes me right back to 1980. I was 2 years old, and virtually the entire city migrated down south to Wembley. And that is because Rugby League's Challenge Cup final was between the two giants of the game, Hull KR and Hull FC. And city centre was deserted here. Now, Hull KR were victors, but the match was symbolic of the city's dominance of the game throughout the 80s.
The whole atmosphere of Wembley, inside Wembley, outside Wembley, in London itself, was just absolutely marvellous. Hull had gone down to the capital and they've been great for Yorkshire. But really, I think you don't look at what is it like for Hull KR or what was it like for Hull. Like, you've got to look and say it was marvellous for the city.
Great, and from one famous sports personality in the city to another. Do you remember this man?
Wagstaff's got a chance. Wagstaff! Oh, Wagstaff going through for the first chance of the game. It's there.
Wagstaff.
Through. It's there.
Wagstaff.
Wagstaff going for Wagstaff.
Well, I'm delighted to welcome one of Hull City's favourite stars, Mr. Ken Wagstaff. Ken, they weren't all scored in the same match, but you were, as they say in the parlance, a prolific goal scorer.
Yeah, well, I scored a few goals, but we had a good side in them days, and we had all our players scored goals because we had Chris Chilton, Ken Houghton, Ian Butler, all good players, you see, so it was quite easy to score goals.
Right, I mean, and what do you think to Hull today? I don't mean the team, I mean to the city, isn't it great?
Well, it's a great city, I mean, that's why I stayed here, and most of the players who played in my day stayed here. And I think they're lovely people as well, you know.
I agree with you. Ken, thank you very much indeed. Lovely to see you tonight.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for the moment, but stay with us after the break because we meet Hull's finest funny man and I meet the couple who entertained the Queen for tea. I'll see you in a minute.
A very warm welcome back. I'm joined by some very attractive. We couldn't find room for all three of them. One of them's been standing up there wondering what to do. Come on, stand over here a little bit. Come on, my darling. Come on. Because no, sit on my knee, love. That's it. Now, the thing is, the Queen's been visiting one of the country's largest housing estates here, Bransholme Estate. Have you met the Queen today?
Yes.
And what's she like?
Oh, not the real Queen, no.
Oh, not the real... Oh, crikey.
No.
We won't go into that then.
No,
have you not? What do you think to the fact that she's done a great honour to the Bransholme by visiting the estate?
Very good. Nice. Yeah.
Are you enjoying it?
Yes. I am.
Yes. My knee's a bit bony, isn't it? Well, I'll tell you...
I want to put my full weight on you.
You're not putting your full weight on me? My goodness, aren't you? Well, actually, Tina Gelder went to the estate which is one of, as I say, the country's largest, to see what was happening there. And here's her report.
The message to the Queen from the residents here: we're from Bransholme and we're proud of it.
It's more vibrant, it's getting to be quite an exciting place to live. And it's lovely, it's just so nice for everyone.
First stop for Her Majesty was the Noddle Hill Youth Centre, which runs schemes to help keep youngsters off the street. The Queen showed concern for young guitarist Gabby Roloffs, who'd strained her finger.
It's like she's going on a shoulder and she's like that.
What are you going to do with that finger now?
I don't know. I'm saying that I'm not going to wash it, but I don't know.
And the Queen resisted the temptation to join in with some local line dancers. And one woman has her own unique memento of the day.
I said, would you kindly sign this for the resource centre, ma'am? So she said, yes. I'm very proud to have met her. I'm pleased that she took the time to come here and see all the hard work that's been going on in Bransholme for the past 4 or 5 years.
The Queen seemed to show particular interest in these go-karts. Who knows, an early Christmas present for her 2 grandsons, perhaps? Then it was on to the Garths area of Bransholme, and it was time for a pot of tea at the home of local couple Terry and Stella Cooney. Whilst the Queen rested her legs, the Duke of Edinburgh found himself in the Hull Daily Mail when he watched the printing of today's edition. Back in Bransholme, and it was time for the Queen to leave. It's been a day these residents will never forget. Her Majesty met up with Prince Philip, and off they went in the royal helicopter. But today has been far more than a flying visit and a birthday party for Hull to remember.
Well, Tina Gelder there. Now, one thing I notice is that Alan Hardwick never misses an excuse to have a pretty girl on his knee. Well, I'm delighted to meet 2 other lovely folk. Now, you've had a very, very busy day. It's Stella and Terry. Now, you have met the Queen. She's been for tea. Is this right, Stella?
Yes, she came for tea.
this afternoon.
Did you flick the dust around before she called?
Yes.
This morning.
Just a little bit.
What was she like?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. She made us just feel at ease. This morning I had butterflies, but as soon as the Queen started talking, she said to me, how was I and what a lovely cosy bungalow we lived in. And then she was talking to Terry. We asked her about the family and how Princess Margaret was and her mother.
And did you ask her, Terry, about the wedding? Because, I mean, she's going to be mother of the groom, isn't she, in just a few weeks' time?
Yes, she is,
on our Pearl wedding day.
It's our Pearl wedding on that day.
It's actually our Pearl wedding.
It's your Pearl wedding?
Our
the
Pearl
day
wedding.
On the 19th of June, on the...
ours is the 14th.
But it's all within the same week. So were all the sandwiches, did they have all the crusts cut off and everything today?
No, she had biscuits.
She had biscuits? And did she have a nice cup of tea, a nice cup of tea?
a nice cup of tea.
Well, I noticed you didn't bring the pot and bring us a nice cup of tea. It has been noted, Stella. Well, I hope you have a quieter evening because you've obviously had a very busy day. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Hull people, as you will have gathered, are renowned for their sense of humour and sense of fun, and I'm joined now by a man about whom I can honestly say is one of the nicest, funniest, most inspired and inspiring people I've ever met. May I welcome, on your behalf, top funny man, comedian, Mr. what is it again?
No, I forgot my name.
Norman. Great to see you.
It's nice to be here, my hometown, and what have you. But this, do you remember this place here? Well, you remember it.
I do.
This was the old Queen's Dock, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I remember them filling this in.
Now, it's 700 years since the signing of the Charter. Now, what was it like when it was signed?
700 years ago? I don't know.
Don't you?
No, I remember.
That came back, stuff told me a fib about your age.
This was in 1936 they filled it in.
Yeah. It is a great city, isn't it, Hull?
Great, well, nice fish and chips.
Are they?
A lot of fish and chips.
Well, do you think, is it your turn to pay? Because last time we met, I think I paid.
You do well. But back to Hull is because I was born and bred in Hull, and I was born just a few streets up there, in a street called New George Street. And they were living in a terrace house, then in Lockwood Street, and there was sort of 8 of us in the 2-bedroom house. So you wonder how they managed in those days with one cold water tap. We couldn't afford shoes, so what my father did, it was to black our feet and lace up our toes. So
I believe you. I'm daft enough to believe that.
Things are really bad.
Things are bad.
Alan,
not now you're rich and famous,
I hate to interrupt. I know when it's
Norman.
but it's a good job we left this red carpet out because I think she's arrived.
Oh, good heavens!
Quick, Norman, quick! We have a bit of ceremony.
Give me a shot.
Oh, flowers! Curtsy, bow, curtsy. Now, I understand Her Majesty has a little mission to perform. Can I take your flowers, Your Majesty?
Yes,
thank you. Now, this is an award for your contribution to the entertainments business. Would you please kneel? Norman Collier, please kneel.
Where are you, Neil?
Just kneel, kneel. Arise, Sir Norman Collier.
Thank you.
You are a sir.
You've got a knighthood now. You've got a knighthood.
Oh, thanks
You're sir now.
Will you wear it?
Sir.
Okay,
thank you.
I don't suppose there's any chance that we could get one while we're here, do you think?
Thank you.
Well, I should imagine so. Come across here, that's it.
Come across. You blocked actually, you're going to get your head chopped off because you blocked the shot of the Queen then. You blocked the shot of the Queen, Norman.
And we were hoping for a knighthood, weren't we, Alan?
We were. That's just blown that.
But it's been absolutely wonderful. We've had a super day here, haven't we? Absolutely super day
here
today.
We've had a terrific time, but I'm afraid that's just about all we have time for from Hull's 700th birthday party. From Sir Norman Collier, from
the Queen,
from Gaynor,
and Alan.
From me.
That's you're
That's
Alan.
me.
Now don't forget there is a highlights programme tonight at 11:30 on ITV. We will now leave you with some memorable shots of a wonderful day. Goodbye from Hull.
Bye-bye.
Give me back up, bring me back up.
The further you take my right hand way, something inside so strong. Faster I will run. Something inside so strong. You can't deny, brothers and sisters. You can't decide when they insist we're just not good enough. Well, we know better. Just just look him in the eyes and say, we're gonna do it anyway, gonna do it anyway, we're gonna do it anyway. You better get out of my way, 'cause there's something inside so strong, there's something inside so strong. Well, I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone.
100th anniversary have been in full swing. Events are set to continue well into the night. Let's go back to Harry.
Thanks, Peter. You should be here as well, you know, because Hull hasn't seen a day like this. I'm in probably the most appropriate place in the city on this its 700th birthday. I'm in the Queen's Gardens, and behind me the crowds are still here enjoying the celebrations. Now, during the day, thousands of Hull folk have turned out to see the Queen as she shared their moment of history. Paul Murphy looks back on the royal visit.
Fashionably late, though only by a minute, the royal train arrived at Hull station just before 10 o'clock this morning. Her Majesty and Prince Philip received a musical welcome as a 100-strong choir of local schoolchildren sang a specially commissioned song, Hull in Our Hands. At King George Dock, where Her Majesty inaugurated a new lock system, there was also a warm welcome.
It's absolutely wonderful. It's a great day, and it means a lot for Hull, and it's great to have royalty here.
Very, very, very pleased to be here. An opportunity that most people don't really get, and a front line as well. It's fabulous. Lovely to see them both. It's nice that they feel that they can come to Hull and be welcomed in Hull.
And the party sailed off through the lock gates the Queen had just opened. They were taken by the Humber pilot upriver towards Hull's Old Town. Following a civic church ceremony to celebrate the city's 700th birthday, the Queen embarked on a traditional walkabout. Despite a forecast of rain, the weather was kind, bringing real colour to Hull's historic marketplace. This is the Queen's 5th visit to the city. Many here still have fond memories of the summer of 1981, when Her Majesty officially opened the Humber Bridge. Today, though, had added poignancy. At lunch at Hull's Guildhall, the Queen presented the Wilberforce Medal to Archbishop Desmond Tutu in recognition of his campaign for human rights. For many ordinary people, though, the highlight of the day was the Queen's visit to the Bransholme housing estate.
Very glad to meet you. Oh, I'm very glad to meet you, darling.
Do you live here too, in
Yes,
one of
I
these
do.
houses?
Yes. We all do.
The Hucknall Garth Sheltered Housing Scheme was keen to show off its recent renovation. The Queen even took tea with one family and spent more than 20 minutes chatting to local residents.
You see her on the photographs, and then she's just like one of us, isn't she, when all said and done?
It felt like family, nearness. You know, she was like one of us, wasn't she?
The royal couple said their goodbyes shortly after 4 o'clock. The party, though, is only just beginning. 700 balloons for 700 proud years of Hull's history. The anniversary celebrations could not have started with more style. Paul Murphy, Look North, Hull.
Thanks, Paul. And even the sun is shining on us at the moment. Well, the Queen may top the list of VIPs here in Hull today, but she's got a close runner-up in the shape of the man who's currently about to speak behind me. Archbishop Desmond Tutu came to the city to be presented with the Wilberforce Medal for his contribution to human rights. Now, he's a busy man, but earlier he spared me a few minutes of his time, and I asked him about the special place he had in the hearts of the people of Hull.
Well, I try to be a little modest. But it is wonderful. I mean, it is wonderful. You sense a tremendous warmth. And it is because I think people care so much about what's happened in South Africa and that they have been part of that. It is wonderful.
Now, your life has been something of a struggle. I suspect it will continue that way as well. But can you see a light at the end of the tunnel now, looking at events in your own country?
Oh, I think, that everybody regards what's happened in South Africa as a tremendous sign of hope. And I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled because some people were saying, oh yes, they've got their first elections in 1994. those are going to be their last. Well, we've had our second, with people turning out in droves. The disillusionment that we were told was going to be happening hasn't happened, and people have returned the ANC in a landslide victory, whereas many had said there would be people saying this party has not delivered. It's tremendous.
Now, what about a special birthday greeting for Hull, enjoying their 700th birthday?
How wonderful. You've been tremendous, and you have an incredible tradition. Go on going on. You are a sign of tremendous hope for people. You help to end slavery, you help to end apartheid, and people are looking on the resurgence here, rebuilding, beginning again.
As the Americans say, have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
You know, he is just a remarkable man, isn't he? And he's about to speak here in a few minutes' time. It's a long introduction. They tend to do that kind of thing on celebrations like this. More from me a little later on, but let's check up on the day's news from around your patch now with Peter and Charlotte.
It's 700th birthday.
Well, it's not all good news for Hull because Paul is there.
Well, thanks very much. We're all quite mesmerised at the moment. We're listening to the Archbishop's speech here in Hull, and indeed there's quite a lot of unsettled weather as well. I think you can see just above the stadium there is a very dark cloud, and indeed to the south there are a number of thunderstorms as well, but thankfully at the moment the weather's set fair here in Hull, and it looks as though, fingers crossed, it will stay fair for the rest of the evening with some sunshine to come. Now, on the radar picture you can see a lot of cloud around. We had the showery rain for the Queen this morning, that cleared out of the way, and then following on behind clearer skies but with a lot of showers, and really this weekend looks decidedly unsettled. You can see a depression over Ireland by tomorrow, that low pressure area down to the southwest, and it looks like we'll see a number of heavy and prolonged showers right throughout the course of this weekend, with only a slow recovery into next week. So straight on with the details then for this evening. It's fair here, some sunshine, a number of thunderstorms over Lincolnshire and showers further west. I think gradually during the course of the night those showers and thunderstorms will slowly die out. A cold night as well, temperatures as low as 5 or 6 degrees in the Vale of Pickering. 6 is just 43 degrees Fahrenheit. For tomorrow then, well, we all get off to a lovely start, lots of sunshine around, but during the course of the morning that cloud will develop. We'll see showers around lunchtime coming into the southwest, and really those showers gathering in strength, becoming heavy and prolonged in the afternoon with a number of thunderstorms and downpours. So not a good afternoon, temperatures around 15 or 16 at best, just a lighter moderate southeasterly breeze, and then those showers continuing into Saturday night. On Sunday, rather cloudy, cooler, a lot of showers around, perhaps longer spells of rain as well, and unsettled into next week. Well, we're going to enjoy the speech. Here's someone surely on the Queen's honours list. Arise, Sir Harry Gratian.
I only wish that was the case in my dreams. Interestingly enough, actually, Paul was so confident about the weather that he brought his umbrella along with him. Incidentally, you won't be missing anything of the Archbishop's speech. We're reflecting that, of course, in our programme on BBC 2 at 8 o'clock. Now, it's clearly been a memorable day for everyone here in Hull, but for one couple from Bransholme, the Queen's visit has been quite extraordinary. In fact, Stella and Terry Cooney are still in a state of shock, I imagine, after the Queen called in at their council flat to share a cuppa. Their next guest was our very own Phil Connell. Now, he may not have quite the same VIP status, but he still received a right royal welcome.
Now, as with any royal visit, the Queen has spent most of the day talking to many of the local civic dignitaries. Here at number 2, though, a council flat on the Bransholme estate, the Queen's enjoyed an unexpected break with protocol. Yes, as the guest of Stella and Terry Cooney here, the Queen's enjoyed a 15-minute chat, a cup of tea and a couple of shortbread biscuits. Now, Terry and Stella are all dying to know more, so come on, what's it been like?
Oh, it's been absolutely fantastic. I was a bit dubious this morning how I would speak to the Queen. I thought I would get a little bit tongue-tied. But once the Queen started talking, it was just easy.
And what did she have to say, Terry?
Well, so we asked her about her family and how the Queen Mum was going, and she said she had both her hips done and she's taking her to the Derby tomorrow, so...
And any tips?
No, we forgot to ask about some
never
tips.
thought to ask about that, to be quite honest with you. We forgot about that.
Of course, the question we all want to know is, how does the Queen take her tea then?
Well, she likes it strong, not a lot of milk, no sugar.
And I presume it was an occasion for the very best china, Stella?
Oh yes, only Royal Alberts for the Queen.
I believe she was a bit attracted to the lamp in the corner, was she?
The lamp in the corner, she couldn't take her eyes off, and she said, that lamp's fascinating me. I said, well, to get one of the lamps, you'll have to go to Mecca Bingo, Clough Road. I said, because you've got to get 5 stamps before you can have one. I said, but I'm sure they would have given me one if they'd have known you was fascinated with it. And she was laughing.
Of course, this was the teacup which she drank from, wasn't it, Stella? What are you going to do with that now?
This was a teacup she drank out of it. I'd love to just put it without washing it and keeping it and tell everybody that this was the teacup that the Queen drank out of.
Well, it really has been an extraordinary day for you both, hasn't it?
It really has.
Absolutely.
It really has been extraordinary. You just can't believe it.
Well, many thanks for joining us, and from a house that really is fit for a Queen, it's back to you, Harry.
Best cup of tea he's ever had, I should imagine. Incidentally, Desmond Tutu, the Archbishop, still speaking in an impassioned way, and I can tell you that we've got a live interview with him a little later on at 8 o'clock in our programme. Now, a day I'm sure that all of us will remember, but it may be 700 years since Hull was granted a charter. But his story, you know, goes back even further than that. John Hill has been looking back at some of the milestones in the city's momentous history.
The pride of Hull and the tide of its history have ebbed and flowed like the waters of the River Hull, leading into the great sweep of the Humber. Isolated from the rest of the country, the city has always looked to the sea. Local author Don Chester knows more than most about the city's past.
So although we're celebrating 700 years since the first charter, the city is a lot older than that, and it stems from a small trading post that grew up on the riverside.
It's fairly quiet and muddy now, but it has been incredibly busy in the past.
Yes, sailing ships thoroughly congested this river, and the authorities retained an axeman who could slash through the mooring ropes of any ship that was in dispute.
Edward I recognised Hull's importance as a port. In fact, he bought the city for just £47 back in 1293. 6 years later, it was granted a charter, and the grandly named Kingston upon Hull was officially born. Begging your Majesty's pardon, and you are welcome to the city, ma'am, but relations with the Crown haven't always been as cordial. In 1642, King Charles I was turned away from the city's Beverley Gate, which was the first act of the Civil War. With shoppers scurrying by the excavated remains of the gates, it's difficult to imagine such scenes of turmoil. Well, it's got to be said, Don, we're in a hole in the ground.
Yes, very much so. Well, it's not awfully impressive to the eye, I suppose, but it is a reminder of the days when Hull occupied a national stage, and I think for the community that's quite important.
The city's darkest days came under the pounding of the Luftwaffe in the Second World War. 1,200 people were killed, 3,000 injured, 150,000 made homeless. But now, the dereliction and damage is long gone. Don, we've moved on to the waterfront. I suppose really the cradle of Hull's rebirth in the 90s.
Yes, this is a fantastic scene for local people to view, with all these luxury yachts at anchor.
It could be Capri.
Indeed it could. It would do itself justice anywhere in the Mediterranean, I think. And it bodes well for the city's future.
Now Hull's past and present sit cheek by jowl. What Edward I would have made of all this, nobody knows. But it's a buoyant and confident city that's looking forward to the next 700 years.
John Hill's history lesson will test you later. Well, back in the present now, I'm joined by the lady who's responsible for making all this happen. Lou Howard is very much involved with the whole 700 celebrations. What a day, what a fantastic day.
Fantastic day. It's been a really big community joint effort, the council, the community, the city as a whole, who've really got together to put this together.
I know sometimes people of Hull perhaps feel they're just a little bit on the backwater, don't they? But there's no doubt about it. Well, sometimes they do, I know, because I've talked to them about it. They're not at the moment because they've really put themselves on the map in a big way.
Absolutely, and And that's what Hull 700 is about. We're celebrating the last 700 years, but we're looking for the next 700 years. We're looking to the millennium.
Now, it's not just about today, of course, as well, because this is a long process, isn't it? Tell us some of the highlights ahead.
Well, we've got all sorts of things happening in the summer celebrations. We've got the biggest Civil War reenactment that's taking place, which I know a lot of people are looking forward to. We've got the Red Hot Fiesta, a great global carnival day that's taking place at the end of July. Yorkshire Day at the beginning of August. The 1st of August is being hosted by Hull. We've got lots of learning projects that are happening, lots of community projects as well. Really, the people of the city have got together and really...
But that's the feature, though, isn't it, Lou? The fact that the people have really sort of bonded together, haven't they?
We've got so many partnerships that have been made. The last 2 years, working groups have been putting things together, really sort of think, what can we do for Hull 700? It's great.
Lou, it's been lovely talking to you. Congratulations on a wonderful day, and may it continue well into the night. Well, that's just about it from us now, but we'll have more on Hull's big day in our special programme on BBC Two at 8 o'clock. And let me just mark your card about this, but we'll be coming live as the party continues here well into the night. So please join us, 8 o'clock on BBC Two. Now, in a moment, Hugh with the national and international headlines, but we're going to leave you today with some magic moments from this very special day. From all of us here, good night.
You have an incredible tradition going on.